Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. On today's show, we're going to be delving back into the Fiero and doing some repair work on it. We're going to be replacing the distributor, and while we're doing that, we'll go over the distributor, its parts, how to disassemble it and rebuild it, and how to remove and install it, adjust timing, everything. So, come on guys, jump in and let's take a look at what it takes to change a dizzy in one of these. Now, this is mostly going to be for the Fiero purists out there who are trying to keep their car as original as possible, because nobody really wants these old dinosaur technology distributors in their cars anymore, as they are not the most reliable ignition system ever made. You know, they work pretty well for the most part, but when you start having issues, it can be a little bit of a pain. So, I am having a slight issue with the car, and so that's where I'm leading to replacing this distributor. So we're going to go ahead and change it out, and we'll show all of you youngsters out there who have no idea what this is, how to change it and what it does and how it works. Now, I just got a brand new one in. We're going to unbox it, take a look at it, and see where it goes from there. Okay, this is our brand new, 100% new Cardone distributor. Still available. Not too expensive. I think I paid about 80 bucks for this one. It's fully loaded, comes complete with everything you need just to install, time, and go. So let's take a look at it as we pull it out of the box and see what we got. So let's unbox this thing and see where we're going to go with this. This is the Cardone 841633 new electronic distributor. This was inspected what is this, December DTC. Oh no, that's not a date. I was trying to see if I could find a date there. Now these are made in China, as pretty much it's the only place where you can get them now. Even the AC Delco, which are about double the price of these, are still basically made in the same place. So we're gonna pull this out. As you can see, Cardone does wrap them up nicely. We have our bubble wrap to protect it, keep it from getting any damage. And let's take a look at what we got in here. That's all there. So let's lay this little puppy right here. And here we have our distributor installation guide from Cardone. This is basically just general instructions on how to install it, how to time it. We'll be going over all of that. Now let's unwrap it and see what we've got. Let's remove some of this bubble wrap here. As you can see, they keep it wrapped up very nicely. We have a wire tie to hold the plastic bag here. Let's pull it out of there. And now here we have our brand new GM HEI distributor. You can see here, it actually comes fully loaded. We have our ignition module already installed. We're going to be checking to see what brand that is, as the only ignition modules I do use in my car are the AC Delco ones, as I found that they are the least trouble prone of the ignition modules. Now, we also see we have a brand new oil seal ring. This is a common issue with Fieros. When the ring goes bad here, this oil seal, you'll get a lot of oil coming out from the back of the engine, and it'll leak all over the place, and you'll be wondering where it's coming from. This is a primary source of oil leaks on the car. So always a good idea to replace these from time to time, or if you start to see a little bit of seepage of oil toward the bottom of the distributor, always a good idea to replace these. This is our cam gear. This is going to interface with the cam, and that's what actually is going to spin the rotor that's inside this distributor. And we'll be talking about how to disassemble this, and we will actually be rebuilding one during this series, as the one that I'm taking out, I do have parts to rebuild it. So I thought it'd make an interesting addition to the video, just to show you guys how we can rebuild these things. Now, one issue with these distributors, as you can see, this is a brand new unit, is the two screws that mount the cap on, they strip very, very easily in the base of the distributor. It's always been a weak spot on these distributors, and a lot of people damage them as they were changing the caps because they tighten it down way too much as they're installing the screws in the caps. I don't think you would want to go much past 5 or 6 Newton meters of torque on these screws. I will have to try and see if I can find the exact torque measurement. But more than that, you do not want to go, because you will strip out the holes on the base here. Unless Cardone has changed the design here, then this is going to be a problem area. So you have to be very careful with that. Now, you see we have a brand new cap on here. I don't know if it's who manufactures the cap, but we are going to be disassembling this because I want to see what brand of ignition module is in here. And if it's not something that I'm happy with, we will be changing that during this series as we're getting it ready for installation. Now, every single distributor cap for these distributors comes with two, whoops. Well, was two. Okay, here we go. These two bolts, which hold the cap to the base of the distributor. These bolts are 7/32, standard size. I don't know if you guys can actually see them there. Or you can use a Phillips head bit to remove them. Remember, very, very, very carefully, because you can easily strip out the base of the distributor. So remember, 7/32 or Phillips bit. Now, normally, you wouldn't be doing what I'm going to do now, but because this thing does come fully loaded and ready to drop into the car. Now, you will have to remove the distributor cap, because you have to make sure you position the rotor in the exact same position as the one you're removing, as it'll be pointing to the cylinder that's next in the ignition cycle. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove our distributor cap. And here we have the distributor cap, easily removed, just the two bolts. Now this is what's going to prove interesting here. You can see we have this is my first time seeing one of these newer Cardone distributors. And this is an entirely newly designed magnet. This is not what we're going to find in the car when we remove the old one. And as you can see in here, the pickup coil is now encased in what appears to be, I'm going to say that this is some kind of either heat shielding or magnet. I have not seen one of these newer distributors. And I got to say, it's been a long time since I've replaced one, and I don't recall them looking anything like this, which we'll see when we remove the old one from the car. This is very interesting. So you can see we have our ignition module installed, and it does look like it's not a AC Delco ignition module, so it's probably going to be a standard or something along those lines. So we will be changing this out for an AC Delco ignition module. Now, let's look over the parts of our distributor, or the serviceable parts of the distributor, which is our rotor. Rotor is removed from the top of the shaft when you change your caps, which you should do every, I want to say, I think it's like 30,000 or so miles. Is our first serviceable part. Second serviceable part will be our ignition module, which if you're a Fiero owner, you know you always carry an extra in the car, because you never know when these things are going to go out. Now, our third serviceable part will be our pickup coil. Now, in order to change the pickup coil, it does require disassembly of the complete distributor, which we'll go over as we rebuild the old one. Now, our fourth serviceable part is the O-ring. Again, something you have to keep an eye on from time to time to see if there's any oil leaking out. Now, one thing that a lot of people forget to service is cleaning the grill work here at the bottom of at the base of the distributor. Now, let's take a look at here is our cam gear. Now, when we're installing it, this is what's going to mesh with the cam gear in the engine, and what is going to position our rotor where we need it to be in the ignition cycle. Now, in order to replace the pickup coil, there is a roll pin here which has to be removed. Once that is removed, you can separate the gear from the distributor shaft, and the shaft will come out from the top. The gear comes out from the bottom, shaft comes out from the top, and then we will have access to our pickup coil. And those are the parts of the distributor that we will be paying some attention to as we remove the other one. And we'll go over as far as repair and rebuilding of a distributor. Okay, guys, that's it for our entry video to replacing a distributor in a Pontiac Fiero. If you're into keeping the car original, as I am, this is something you're going to want to do. And yes, there are better ignition systems out there from GM, and there are ways to replace this. There is a 7730 computer upgrade, which you can remove the distributor itself and install a coil on plug ignition system. But if you're a purist like I am with this particular car, you're just going to want to have to live with this distributor system, because it is the way the car was built, and I'd like to keep it as original as possible for as long as possible. So that's going to be it for our intro into distributors. And on the next episode, we'll go into removing the distributor from the car itself, and a couple of tips and tricks that you're going to want to know as you're doing that. All right, guys, that's it. I will probably be back with a scale modeling video next, and then we'll be back on this. It's going to be a fun little trip, so come on back for the ride. I'll see you on the next one.